1970s snacks that shaped our childhood. Do you remember the feeling of ripping open a candy package, taking that first bite, and thinking you found the best snack in the world? The 1970s for sure was the decade of incredible snacks and everything from chewy caramel bars that took a while to eat to astronaut-inspired candy from NASA. Some were bizarre, others were packed with sugar, and some, well, they disappeared way too fast. In this video, we're going to take a tasty stroll down memory lane to look back on decades of snacks. Stick around to the end, and you may just rediscover a favorite you forgot. Marathon Bar. Oh man, the Marathon Bar. Now that was one candy bar. If you were a child of the 70s or 80s, you remember this thing. 8 inches long, a braided rope of caramel, a luscious coating of milk chocolate. That thing was not a snack, it was a commitment. You couldn't just chomp into it. Nope. This thing was so sticky, you had to work your jaw and chew it for what felt like eons. And it's impossible to talk about the Marathon Bar without talking about the packaging. Wow, what a wrapper. Bright red, loud, and the best part, it had a ruler printed on the back. This thing looked like they wanted to actually show off how ridiculously long it was. Children would line it up against their arms, against their school books, anything to demonstrate it was the largest candy bar ever. Those ads were right. Nobody eats a marathon fast. And they weren't kidding. That caramel did not merely melt in your mouth. You had to earn every jaw motion. Sadly, nothing good lasts forever. And just like that, it was gone one day in 1981. No warning, no goodbye. But if you are fiending for that chewy, chocolatey magic to return, move on down to the closest store and grab a Cadbury Curly Whirly, which is the next best thing. Or what do you think today is the closest thing to this piece of heaven? Space food sticks. Now, this was the snack that truly made you feel like an astronaut. See, during the height of the space race in the late 1970s, Pillsbury's top food scientist, Howard Ballman, invented these chewy little snack sticks. And the reason was actually insane. See, NASA was looking for something astronauts could easily eat in a zero-gravity environment. And well, space food sticks was the answer. But here's the best part. Pillsbury didn't just keep them for astronauts. Nope, they scaled down to Earth and marketed them as a nutritiously balanced between-meal snack. Overnight, these things exploded. I mean, kids everywhere were able to snack like real astronauts. Not to mention, they were sold in flavors like peanut butter, caramel, and of course, chocolate. From the name to the appearance back then, eating one made you feel like you were one of the astronauts on a moon mission. These sticks were an important part of the space age craze, connecting the rest of the world to the thrilling era of space travel. But, like many great things, they eventually faded in the 1980s. For a brief while, a company called Retro Future Products made them available in 2006, but that didn't last. They did, however, make a comeback in Australia for the Apollo 11 50th anniversary in 2019. Today, space food sticks have appeared in The Simpsons and The Colbert Report, and continue to bring nostalgia from the 1970s. But the real question is, which was better, peanut butter or chocolate flavor? Please let us know in the comment section below, and may the best flavor win. Screaming Yellow Zonkers. Screaming Yellow Zonkers was not just a snack, they were an experience. I mean, just look at the name. Who even thinks of that? The zoning is ridiculous. It's loud, it's obnoxious, and it's an ideal name for a snack that is not just some ordinary popcorn operation. No way. Screaming Yellow Zonkers are not caramel popcorn like you find in a bag from Fiddle Faddle or a can of poppycock. Zonkers were better. Absolutely nut-free with a bright yellow color and covered in a thin and sweetly glazed sugary overlay. This snack was light, crispy, and totally addictive. But what really set them apart was, believe it or not, the box. See, Screaming Yellow Zonkers did not come in a bag or in some flashy packaging. They came in a sleek black box. And to make it even cooler, the packaging read like a mix of weird, funny, or just plain crazy, almost nonsensical text. No one just eats Screaming Yellow Zonkers. No, you read the box and laugh the entire time as you ate. I mean, this advertising was completely outrageous. Just look at this. The advertising agency Hervis, Binzer, and Churchill embraced the fun of the absurd branding, and it worked. as Zonkers took off in the 1970s and 1980s. But like all good things, it disappeared in 2007. For a while, they returned in 2012, offering the devoted fan base one final taste, but sadly today they too have become only a sweet, crunchy memory. Do you remember any jokes from the box? Let us know in the comments section below. Danish go-rounds. Okay, for this one, we need to take you back to 1968, to a time before breakfast was simply grabbing a Pop-Tart and running out the door. This was when Kellogg's Danish go-rounds came into the picture and brought a little elegance to the morning meal. Unlike the traditional rectangular experience with other toaster pastries, this was spiral-shaped, like a flaky Danish soft pastry and filled with fruit. They came in apple, cherry, and blueberry flavors, and honestly, everyone loved them, especially when they came out of the toaster and that warm, sticky filling hit your tongue. Pure joy. But sadly, they had one downside. Much to the frustration of everyone, they crumbled too easily. I mean, you would take so much time finding that delicate end, and as soon as you take them out of the toaster, boom, crumbs. Thankfully, in 1976, Kellogg's redesigned them. Everything was the same about the Danish go-rounds except the shape. They were now Danish rings, oval-shaped and flaky, and all the goodness of the filling was safe in the casing. At the time, they were promoted as a more sophisticated breakfast offering a nicer alternative to the traditional toaster pastry. And for a while, they had their time in the 1970s breakfast scene. But like many great snacks, they too eventually died down. Today, they no longer make Danish go-rounds or Danish rings, but those lucky enough to have had them will always remember that warm, fruity nostalgia. Wacky wafers. If you are a child of the 1970s and 80s, then you probably remember the giant, round, coin-shaped candy called wacky wafers. These things were about the size of a silver dollar and came in 5 primary flavors: banana, green apple, watermelon, orange, and you guessed it, strawberry. They were awesome. They had a chalky crunch similar to Necco wafers with a tangy sweetness like sweet tarts. Even the candy's packaging was unique, as it featured a clear plastic, so the colorful wafers were visible and made it much more tempting to tear into the package to see the candy inside. The best part of it all was that over time, natural flavors like pineapple, cherry, grape, and blue raspberry appeared, and they were amazing. Originally, the wafers were produced by Breaker Confections under the Willy Wonka brand, which sadly was discontinued by Nestle in 1988 because it was deemed too similar to sweet tarts. But luckily for us, in 2017, Leaf Brands began selling wacky wafers again, much to the pleasure of these old enough to remember it. Sugar Mama candy sticks. Back in the day, if you were a kid with a serious sweet tooth, nothing beat Sugar Mama, and that was a fact. I mean, this was a thick, chewy caramel covered into a smooth layer of chocolate, a perfect mix of buttery, rich, chew and melt on your tongue sweetness. It was more than just candy. It was a long, delicious experience. Sugar Mama was part of a famous trio of caramels. First, there was Sugar Daddy, the hard caramel lollipop that came out in 1925 that took forever to chew. Then came Sugar Babies in 1935, bite-sized, poppable caramel, great for sneaking into the movies. And lastly, we had Sugar Mama, the richest of all, because of that extra chocolate. In the 1960s and 70s, Sugar Mama was ubiquitous, all over lunchboxes and snack stashes, and from day to day, it was a permanent place in candy aisles. Sadly, by the 1980s, this sweet candy family started to dry up into a nostalgia. Although Sugar Mama is gone, the memory of a time that was all about simple, fun candy will always tug at some sweet remembrance of those experiences. But let us know in the comments, which did you love? Was it the Sugar Daddy, Baby, or maybe Mummy? Reggie Bar. The Reggie Bar was not just a piece of candy. It was a homage to a hero. Introduced in 1978 by Standard Brands, the candy honored Reggie Jackson, the phenomenal slugger who had just won a World Series championship with the New York Yankees. To be fair, the Reggie Bar was not totally new, but it had that amazing kick. It was actually a rebranded Wayne Bun bar that contained a round patty of peanuts and caramel covered in milk chocolate that provided a nutty, rich, chewy candy that packed as much punch as Jackson's bat. All of this was plenty exciting, but nothing will ever beat the Reggie's Bar debut. See, on April 13, 1978, at the Yankees home opener, the fans in attendance received complimentary Reggie bars. Then, this happened. All hell broke loose when Jackson hit a home run on his own first at-bats, and fans went crazy throwing Reggie bars on the field. It was so insane, it took over 5 minutes for the grounds crews to clean up the field so the game could resume. Safe to say after this, Reggie bars sold well, especially in New York, but sadly it had a short life. After Jackson left the Yankees and after Standard brands merged with Nabisco by 1981, the candy was discontinued, and they tried to resurrect it a few other times without success, most notably in the 1990s for Jackson's Hall of Fame induction. When it's all said and done, the Reggie bar was a great piece of candy to offer to fans and is undeniably an enduring sweet memory of the sports world even nearly 50 years later. But what do you think? Should they try to bring the Reggie bar back to the market? And just how great was Reggie as a player? Regardless of where you stand, one thing's for sure, snacks in the 1970s had personality. Whether inspired by baseball legends, astronauts, or just pure sugary chaos, they weren't just food, they were an experience. Drop your memories in the comments below, and if you love nostalgia as much as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more trips down memory lane. Until next time, let's keep the nostalgia alive.